Welcome back, everybody. So in this walkthrough video, I'm going to fully solve FizzBuzz problem in Java all the way following umpire process all the way to the end. Okay. So let's go to the place where we start. Place where we stopped. So last time I gave you guys the understand process to make you a plan. Hopefully, you all contributed to the discussion that I created for submitting your plan. Okay, so this is the understand step. So I'm going to first create the plan out of this. Okay, so I'm going to go back to implementation, and I gave you guys these three references. So I'm going to click on the number 2 and then use that page to write my code, plan and code. Okay. All right. So I recommend this book. It's an interactive Java book, which is free open education resource. Okay. All right. So this is the we call this trinkets. So that's the website. So these are editable sort of code blocks provided inside the book. Okay, so I'm going to do is basically I'm going to add a file, a class, and every time we solve a problem in Java, we created a class. So I'm going to first add a class. So Fizz say FizzBuzz, yeah, this should be fine, and .java. Okay. All right. So okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first the class information, public class FizzBuzz. Okay. Class name should be the file name as well in Java. Okay. And we have curly bracket. Okay. All right. So and here I'm going to maybe before that I'm going to add the documentation. Okay. Okay. So that is basically I'm going to add the problem description in there. So let me go get it and copy it over here. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So all right. So now let's add the plan. Okay. So for that, I'm going to go inside and then start writing my method. Okay. So all right. So this method, okay, we're just going to print in there. Okay. So so let's say print FizzBuzz. Okay. All right. So that's what actually I think inside here I'm asking. Yeah. So this is the print FizzBuzz. So that's the method I am asking you to write. Okay. So right here. Okay. So so let's print FizzBuzz. Okay. All right. And so for now, I'm going to write it like this. Before that, I'm going to add the plan. Okay. So, all right. So right here, so we can add the plan. So the step one, okay, so okay, so we need to get our input number, right? So that's the step one. Okay, so input a number. Okay, all right. So step two, okay. So notice that we are printing for so up to the number that we are inputting, we are printing either that number or the fizz or buzz or then FizzBuzz. Okay, so that means we need to iterate over this set of numbers, right? So it's a for loop. Okay, so for, okay, numbers from 1 to number. Okay, so that's the for loop. Okay, and then we're gonna go inside the for loop. Okay, so 2.1. Okay, so we need to check this number, right? First, what we can do is we can basically check this number for both, whether it's divisible by both 3 and 5. Okay, so we need to check for both the mod value for by division by 3 and division by 5. So need to check both mod values. Okay, so if, okay, number is divisible by okay, 3 and 5. Okay, this is the case. Okay, and we're going to go inside. So 2.1.1. Okay, and then print. Okay, print FizzBuzz. Right. So okay, all right. So else, so 2.2, else if the number is divisible by 3. Okay, all right. Then we print 2.1.2, print fizz, and else, right? So we can now copy paste and change these values. Okay, oops, all right, 2.3 now, it's 2.1 point, okay, so this should be 2.2.1, this should be 2.3.1. Okay, and print buzz. Okay, all right, so so once we that's it. So we are only printing in here, right? So this is our plan now. So let's convert this plan to code. Okay, so input, so that is for a function we take the input through a parameter, so integer, okay, number, right? And then over here we start our for loop. Okay, so for, so in Java it's like this way. Okay, so we need to start from a number, so there should be a for loop variable, so int I equals 1. Okay, and then I less than or equals number. Okay, and I plus plus. Okay, it's almost similar to Python's as well. Okay, in Python it's easier than this. Okay, all right, so Usually, if we have more than one line, so we better put open and curly brackets. Okay, and inside we're gonna now check each number, right? So if if number is divisible by 3, so basically we are checking that. So if um, all right, so this should be, I think, numbers. I think I made a mistake for there. Numbers. So it's actually I actually. Okay. So I'm using this for loop variable I, that is actually numbers. Okay. So don't get confused. This is the number that we input. Okay. So if I mod 3, okay, and I mod 5 equals 0. So both conditions. If that is, oops, if that is the case, basically you're going to print. So the print command in print function in Java is system dot out dot print ln. Okay. Okay. So print FizzBuzz, right? Okay. So both are true. So we're going to print that. Okay. And then that's it. And the next one is, right? So else if, okay, so only this one is true. Okay, so then we're going to print, okay, so then we're going to print fizz. Okay, all right, so just fizz. Right, and else if, okay, so I can copy paste, and we're going to check for division by 5. All right, so that's the case, buzz, and then finally, right, else just the number. Okay, so all right, so I, so print I. Okay, so let's check this out now. So we wrote the method. Okay, so in Java, to create your class, and then you implement your solution, and you go to the main program and then call it. So we call it the driver. So I'm going to go to this one. I'm going to change this name. Okay, so this is, I'm going to change this to FizzBuzz driver. So okay, so all right, so over here also class name same. Okay, so I'm going to remove this, all of this code. Okay, all right, so just to make sure the bracketing good. Okay, so usually you can write single class and then write a solution inside your main function and then do this, but I recommend separating the two, because that's the way you have the opportunity to showcase, okay, real object oriented programming concept in Java. Because usually in an interview, that is also could be the objective of the interviewer. So checking whether you know this knowledge, right? So we say basically, okay, separating the client and the solution. Okay, so this is our solution, this is our client or the driver class. Usually user runs this. Okay, so separating the two, it's really fundamental in software engineering. So if you show that to the interviewer, that would be a plus. Okay, so I highly recommend write your solution in a separate class and create an object in the driver class and then test it out. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do now. Okay, so I'm going to create a FizzBuzz object. Okay, so for that, I'm going to use FizzBuzz class. All right, and FizzBuzz object. Okay, so that's the object I'm going to create. So this is the class. I already have the implementation. Okay, and new, just default constructor, right? So we didn't have to write the constructor. Okay, all right. So that's our because it's a default constructor, we didn't have to write this. Simple. It's a simple Java class. Okay, all right. So that's I created my FizzBuzz object. Now I'm going to use the object and call that method. Okay, so dot. Okay, so the method name is right here, print FizzBuzz. Okay, so I'm going to simply copy and change it over here. So we don't need to have a number. So we need to define the number actually, right? So right, so I'm going to get int, okay, number equals, let's start with number 3. Okay, all right, and we can run it now. Okay, so let's run this one. Okay, all right, it's printed 1 2 fizz. Okay, so let's change this to 5 or maybe 6, right, and run again. So printed 1 2 fizz 4 buzz fizz. Okay, so seems to be working fine. So let's check for all the way up to 16 as well. All right, so it works. Okay, so now let's go back to our solution and check whether we can make an improvement. So that's part of the evaluation process, I guess. Okay, so usually we check for, right, we analyze our code and then improve, okay, like the speed or the space complexity, right? So in this case, it's well, it's a simple for loop question, so it's order n. So if you have the more the larger the number, it's linearly improving, increasing the speed. Okay, so but we can improve our code. Okay, so notice over here, okay, I'm checking for 2 things, right? So this is not a whole lot of improvement on the performance wise, but still there is some. Okay, so I'm checking 2 conditions over here, and then combined by and mark at and operator, right? So these 2 checks. So this is the one instruction, and this is another instruction. Okay, so can we improve here, right? So that's the question. So if you go back to FizzBuzz problem, you see that we are checking for division by both 3 and 5, right? So instead of this, we can check division by 15, right? So whenever we are checking the remainder of 2 things, okay, right? So you can get the least common multiple. Is that least common? Yeah, all right. So least common multiple of the 2 things, then you can combine that, and then you can divide it by from the least common multiple. In this case, for 3 and 5, the least common multiple is 15. So instead of just getting the remainder separately, we can use 15. Okay. All right. So that's it. Oops. All right. So instead of checking the two separately, we sort of combine the two because for 3 and 5, the least common multiple is 15, their product, right? So we take that and then check that. So let's try this now, and then we'll see that we get the same result. All right, guys. So that is a small improvement, but this is basically like showing you that you are aware of this and this way of improving the code as well. So it also makes it a little bit elegant as well. Okay, I'm gonna also show you how to do this code check as well. So in code check, what you have to do is so go right here, and then just we have given to you all the like skeleton code, right? So FizzBuzz class, and then the method name as well, and you just need to fill the method. So let's do that as well. So I'm going to take this code. Okay, submit. All right, all the test cases passed. All right, guys, there you have it. Full so problem walk through on FizzBuzz Java.